Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel, or welcome to our channel if you're new here. In today's video, we'll be showing you how to make a homemade plait bread, or a braided bread as some may call it. So basically this is a loaf of bread that is shaped to look like a braid, as if you would braid someone's hair. So we did a full loaf of the plait bread just plain, and we also made some mini ones here with some really delicious toppings. So we have raisins, we have granola, we have a nice savory one, and a sesame one. So if you'd like to see how to make this, then please keep on watching. Also, don't forget to hit that like button if this is interesting to you so far. So without further ado, let's get on into the video. Alrighty, so as per usual, we're starting off with our ingredients. So you're going to need 3 cups of all-purpose flour. You're also going to need 2 tablespoons of butter, as well as 2 tablespoons of Crisco shortening. You're also going to need half a cup of warm milk, and please keep in mind that all of the items I'm using are going to be in the description box below. We're also going to need 1 teaspoon of salt to balance things out. And you're also going to need 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, or you can use regular sugar if you don't have brown sugar on hand. We're also using quick rise instant yeast for this recipe, so we're going to use 1 full pack of the Fleshman's brand one. You're also going to need 3/4 of a cup of water. And as for toppings, you can sub these out for any other toppings that you'd like. We chose to do one with raisins. We also chose to do one with mixed granola, so this has like cranberries, granola, coconuts, and etc. inside. We also decided to do one with sesame seeds on the top, as well as something a little bit different, which is a nice green mixture of oregano, basil, rosemary, and chili pepper flakes. And by all means, you can change these up in any way that you'd like. So now we're going to start off with building our dough together. So we're going to add the full pack of instant yeast. You're also going to add that 1 tablespoon of brown sugar to help activate that yeast, as well as your 1 teaspoon of salt. And then you're just going to take a whisk and whisk this together before we add in our other ingredients. So once that's blended together nicely, you're going to add your 2 tablespoons of butter. You're also going to add your 2 tablespoons of the Crisco shortening. And then with clean hands, we are just mixing this together, making sure everything is blended together nicely before we start working this in with our liquid ingredients. So now we're going to move on and add warm milk gradually to the dough and knead it together. So you don't want to add all of this all at once, because then you can have a good feel of how much you need versus how much is going to be left back. Okay, so once the full half cup of warm milk is added, we're going to start adding in our warm water to bind the dough together. And you're going to add this in very gradually, just like what we were doing with the warm milk, because you may not need a full 3/4 of a cup of warm water, but you can work with that amount because that's the amount that we use to build our dough together. Okay, so our dough is almost there. We still have a little bit of remnants of the flour at the bottom of the bowl, so we're just adding our last bit of warm water. So altogether it did total up to 3/4 of a cup of warm water. And you're just kneading this together. You're going to knead this for about 5 to 7 minutes until your bowl is completely clean underneath. So you'll notice as you're kneading the dough, it's going to completely clean off any excess around the bowl. And once you've completely cleaned it off, you know that you have the perfect dough. We've mentioned this in a couple of our pastry recipes, but that is the best way to know that your dough is completely ready to go. And you can see here that our bowl is completely shining. There's almost nothing left there. And it's ready to go. So now we're going to let this sit with a covered towel over it for about 45 minutes until it's completely risen. Okay, so after 45 minutes, this is what our dough looks like. You can see that it's really nice and puffy, and it's really nice and moist and ready to go. So we're just going to sprinkle our clean counter with some flour, just so that it's easy to work with on the counter. So we're going to put that down, and you're going to need this dough to remove any of the air bubbles because it was rising. You want to make sure that all of those air bubbles are out before we start sectioning things off and getting it ready to bake. So you're going to do this for about 2 to 3 minutes until all is gone. So once your dough is rid of all those air bubbles, you're going to cut these into pieces. So we're going to cut this in half for now, and we're going to work with this one piece for our larger, longer flatbread. So we're going to section this off now. We're going to section this off into 3. So you see we're sectioning here, and you want to make these as even as possible because we are going to make it into a braid. So we're going to take the first section here, and we're just rolling it out and stretching it, elongating it enough, kind of like a strand of hair, if you will. So we're going to do that with the other 2 sections as well. And then that is our 3 strands in order to make our braid, just like how you would do it with someone's hair. And once you have your 3 elongated pieces, you're going to connect them at the top, kind of like the head of your hair, if that makes sense. So that would be the top, so that you could work with it to move it together to make the braid. So we're going to take the middle section, and we're just going to bring it over onto this one side, and then we're also going to bring the section that came into the middle onto the other side. So you're just going to repeat this motion until you have your full braid. You can see here that you kind of have to play around with it, and as you play around with it, you'll get the shape of the braid you're looking for. But we find that you're just basically moving the middle piece until it moves to each end. So you're going to have it from your left, your middle to your right, and you're going to keep going all the way down with that, and that's your braid. And you're going to make sure that the top is also connected together, just like how you have the bottom connected, so nothing falls out when you are baking it. Also make sure to make it as firm as possible, because that way you don't want anything flying out or unraveling itself as it's in the oven. And then we're just going to brush this out with some butter, and we're going to set this aside and work on the other ones. So you want to line your baking sheet with parchment paper and as well as some flour, and we're just putting that straight down. So we're going to let this guy sit aside, and we're going to work with the other mini flatbreads before we put this in the oven. Okay, so as we have that one set aside, we're going to take the other section now, and we're going to section this off again into smaller pieces. Now we are making them smaller, so it's not going to be in 3 equal parts here. We're going to take those 3 equal parts and also split them apart once again. And that way you're going to keep splitting it until you get the sizes that you're looking for. Remember, you need 3 pieces in order to make one flatbread. So each of those pieces have to be as even as possible so that you can get an even shaped flatbread at the end of it all. So we're just playing around with the shapes and working with what we have, and then from there we can make our next one. Okay, so just like what we did with the larger flatbread, we're going to do the same thing here. You're going to take your 3 sections and stretch them out to elongated pieces, and then after that you're going to do an under and over section to make your braid, and make sure that that top end is securely fastened so that when you're braiding down it doesn't fall apart. And you see that it's a lot smaller, but it's also very cute and small, so that it's kind of nice for a snack. So we're also making sure that that end is securely fastened so that nothing falls apart, and we're going to set that guy aside while we work with the other 3 that we're going to make. So this one is going to be a little different. We're going to take the 3 sections and bring them together, and the reason why this is different is because of the garnishing that we chose for this one. So we're choosing raisins in this case. So the raisins we can't add right on top. You could try to, but it may fall apart in the oven, so we're mixing it into the dough before we braid it together. Alright, so as you can see off camera, we did put together one more flatbread on its own because we're going to add a different garnishing on that. Now for this last one, we are taking the green seasoning that we mentioned earlier with the oregano, basil, rosemary, and chili powder, and we're just mixing that into the dough before we put it together. So once all of your flatbreads are ready, you can take some butter and just brush that on there. Now you see I'm brushing it on the same savory one that we were just working with, and that's fine because what we're going to do is the butter is going to act as a sticking agent. So we're going to take the garnishing there, the green garnishing, and we're going to add that straight on top again. You don't have to do this, you could just work it into the dough if you'd like, but we like that extra flavor on the top of the bread. And what we're doing with this one, we're also going to repeat with the others. So we had that one plain one there, so we're just going to put the butter on there as well. And then we're going to add in our sesame seeds on top, and this again is going to add as a sticking agent to keep it all together. We're also doing the same with the raisin bread, but we're not going to add more raisins because there's already enough on there. Also with the last one, we're going to add those granola flakes, and we're doing the same thing with the butter. The butter is just going to keep everything together, and we're adding that straight on top. So once you have all your flatbreads ready, we have the larger one set aside, but we're going to let these sit for about 15 minutes, including the larger one, before putting it into the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 to 30 minutes or until golden brown. Alright, so after 25 to 30 minutes, this is what our larger flatbread looks like, nice and golden brown, and we just stuck it with a toothpick to make sure that it's completely cooked through. Our other 4 mini ones are also completed. As you can see here, they're all a beautiful golden brown. All of the toppings are still on top of them, and it looks absolutely delicious. We're also still checking to make sure that it's completely cooked through. There shouldn't be anything on the toothpick once you poke it to ensure that it's completely cooked. Alright, so that concludes today's video. As you can see, we have plated these guys up real nice. So we have our long, regular, plain flatbread, and we also have our 4 more savory and sweet flatbreads. So we have the granola mixed one, we have the raisin mixed one, the sesame seed flatbread, as well as my personal favorite, the savory oregano basil bread. All of these are really great to breakfast on the go, or just anything like grab and go sort of meals, especially the mini ones. The larger one is a really great thing to bring to like parties or potlucks or anything like that, and it's also really versatile since you can add any sorts of ingredients to your dough and make any sort of bread with it. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to comment down below what you thought of this video and other videos on our channel. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos every week. We really want to thank everyone, new subscribers and old, for all the support so far on our videos. We really appreciate it, and you guys give us the motivation to keep uploading every week. So thank you so much. Hope you have a fantastic week, and thanks for watching. Bye.